All right, hey guys, welcome back. So here's where we left off. Let's go ahead and look at our goal and see where we're trying to get. We want this border around that image. We can see that that's different from where we are. We also want our text to come and wrap itself around this image. And if we look at the first one, or the one that we're working on, we can see that it's not. We also have some styling that we need to do to this and the text inside of here as well. So let's go ahead and see how we can make that happen. But all in all, we're getting there. Our website is looking pretty good, I would say. Looking pretty good. One of the things that we're going to fix, and it'll probably be in the next video, is going to be how far our horizontal rule is coming out. But we'll take care of all that. All right. So next, let's go ahead and first things first, let's go ahead and target that H3 tag, because that's the next tag, which is this one, the believe it or not. So let's go over here and find our H3 tag. Here it is. Now we're going to extend the functionality of this tag. So that means we're going to add in what? An attribute. Yes, we're going to add the style attribute as a matter of fact. Remember, the name of the attribute, the equal sign, and the quote, quote. The property that we want for this is font size, because we're going to change the size of this font. And we're going to use percentages. So the property is ended because we put our colon in there. So we're going to use percentages. We're going to use 160%. Now you might be asking yourself, well, what's that 160% of? Remember I told you the browsers are automatically programmed with for all of the elements. So anytime you use a font, the default right now for all fonts is 16 pixels. And then we use percentages, we're saying 160% of those 16 pixels. Now, if that seems confusing, don't worry about it. We're going to go over that enough to where it won't. So if we refresh, we should see that our text got a little bit larger. And it's really falling in line with our example. So it got a little bit larger, and it's bold. We haven't changed the, the style of the font or any of that yet. But we will in the future. Not necessarily today, but we're going to eventually. All right. So the next thing we want to target is some information for our paragraph. We're going to change the font size and we're going to change the color of it. So let's go down to our paragraph style, which is right below that H3 tag. And we're going to extend the functionality with a style attribute. Yes, we are. So let's type that style. That, look at me, equal sign, and then quote, quote for the attribute. And we want to target the font size, which is 2 words, and you already know the way that we combine 2 words is with a hyphen when we're dealing with CSS. And the way that we end that property is with that colon, as I just did. We want the font size of this one to be 140%, so that's our value. Make sure we end it with that semicolon, as I just did. So yours should look like style equals quote font dash size colon space 140% and the semicolon. Pop quiz. Do you remember what that 140% is of? If you said of the 16 pixels of the normal font size, which is the default, that is already programmed for the browsers to read, you are absolutely correct. All right, so we made the font size a little bigger. Hit our space bar because we're not finished yet. Next, we want to set our color. So the property for color and the value is going to be maroon, M-A-R-O-O-N, and make sure we end it with that semicolon. So here's what we just did. Mine went to the other line, so I just want to highlight it so that you can see what we just did. So we just pretty much added the style for the font size, made it 140 pixels, and we added the color, the property of color and the value of maroon. And then, of course, we have our semicolon that it should be in between. Now let's save that. And let's go ahead over here and save it and preview it. So now our national days can be found at, should be that maroon color, font color. So we're getting there. We're getting there. We're not there yet, but it encourages us to know that we're getting there. All right. So the next thing that we want to target in this is going to be our well, no, actually, let's go ahead and target, let's see. We're going to go ahead and target that image, that second image, or that second image that's down at the bottom. So let's go ahead and find that one. Image of Turtles Candy. I found it. Do you see it? It is this image right here. If you see it, we're going to go after the title attribute. Remember the title attribute right here? The image of candy. And okay, so we're going to title this, we're going to make sure that our cursor is inside of that image tag. So making sure we're after that title attribute, after that quote, and let's hit the space bar because we're going to add style to this now. So what we want to add is we're going to add alright, so we're going to add what's called a float. Okay, I prefer to explain float in person, but we'll try to explain it online. So what a float is we're allowing, okay, remember the HTML has one job. Its job is to stack boxes. Okay, if you want something to be beside each other, you have to do it through floats. And what floats say is, okay, image, I want you to float to the left no matter what, or right, whichever side you want, and allow everything else beneath to come up and be beside you. Okay, and that's what we're targeting it to do. So let's go ahead and try this. Now floats get kind of tricky, and they do. They do. Oh, look at us trying to jump ahead. We need to add the style attribute. Those of you who are out there who are already like, oh my gosh, wait, do we need to add a style attribute? You're absolutely right. The property is going to be float. We got to end that property, and we're going to say a float of left. Now, we're going to preview this. We still have more stuff to do, but we're going to preview it just so that we can see if it worked or not. So now, when we go and we preview it, what should have happened is our image stayed where it is, and now our information is floating to the left. Okay, I'm sorry. The image is stuck at the left, and now the information is floating alongside it. Did yours work? Good. All right. If it did not work, then there's something, maybe check to see that you spelled float right. Maybe check to make sure that you spelled left right, because it is super sensitive to the way that we spell stuff. All right. Now we want to give it a certain margin. So let's go ahead and try margin dash right. Okay, because it's two words. And we're going to have it get end that property, and we're going to say 10 pixels. Now, keep in mind, if any of this becomes confusing and your page isn't working right, go ahead and try to redo the video, and if it still isn't making sense, send me an email and let me know what part doesn't make sense. And that would just let me know that we need to go over more stuff in class. And that's fine. That's fine. And that'll work. But just do the best that you can for now. Do the videos. Okay, so margin right, we're going to give it 10 pixels, and if we go preview it, we'll see that the margin on the right, that text should have moved off of the edges a little bit. And it has. On mine, it has. Yours should have too. Okay, so we have the margin right in there. Notice, remember our border over here, it has this nice little border. So we want to give our one over here border as well. So we'll go back into where we were after that margin right, hit the space bar, and we're going to type border. And this means that this border is going to go on all sides. And we'll be talking more about borders inside of class. But we're going to give it a border of 4 pixels. We want the border to be solid. Oops. And we want the color to be that maroon that we've been using. All right, so save that. Hold on, let's preview it. And now what you should have is you should have an image. You should have the border in there. And you should have the color, the same color that we used.
I remember you told me.
Alright, now I told you guys that certain things are just going to pop up. And there's one. Alright. That means the other video is ready. Yay! Okay. So, your border should be there. Should be that 4 pixels. Yours should look just like mine. And if we look at the final, it is coming together nicely. Alright. So we got that border in there. Let's go ahead and set our width for this one. So, let's see. Set the width for our image. Yep. Okay, so our width is going to be 236 pixels. And our height is going to be 206 pixels. Now with these, you have to put the pixels in. Remember when we were doing the width and the height attributes, we didn't have to. And that's just because HTML automatically knows it. But when you're dealing with CSS, you have to put that width and height attribute in there. Okay. So we have our width and height attribute, and some of our information should have moved back over. And now it looks good. Because remember before, I'm sorry. I was on the wrong one. Alright, so we have our width and height attribute in there, and we have some stuff that we still have to fix up. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a few. Alright, so now we want to set up, because look at our pre-formatted text. Our pre-formatted text looks nothing like our final text. Our final text has a different color, and it's a different font. And it has, the sizing is the same, but it's following like a certain width and stuff. So we need to go ahead and change that so that it matches our stuff. So look at our pre-tag, right? Let's go ahead and give it an attribute. The attribute we're going to give it is the style attribute because that's what we're targeting, right? And that's all we do is that style equals quote, quote. We're going to give it the font family, which is 2 words. And you know how we combine the 2 words is with a dash. So we give font family, that colon. We're going to choose Georgia. So Georgia. That's the font. Our color is going to be brown. And remember, when we're just dealing with color, that means we're dealing with text. Anytime you see color by itself, or anytime you want to target the text by itself, you're just going to use the word color. It's not text color. It's not font color, because that's a common mistake. It's just the word color. So take notes on that, just so you know in the future. It's just the word color. And we're going to give it a width of about, oops, make sure you spell it right, width, of about 1,000 pixels. And again, when you're dealing with CSS, and make sure you close it, when you're dealing with CSS, you have to deal in pixels. Let's save this, preview this, and now it's starting to look like our final. Oh, it's looking good. Notice we gave it that width, and that's making it look good. And we still have some stuff to do to our links. They're not looking quite like we want them. And we need to set up our, let's see. Oh, it's funny. The fascinated that we did in the final was here, but the one that we did is here. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. The goal was just so that you would mark up text with that mark tag. So that's good. And we have to fix that how to observe. And we have to fix our links again, as we said. But we're getting there. We're definitely almost. We're almost at the promised land, guys. We're almost done. We have a few more things to do. And then we will be done with the styles. And our styles will look beautiful. All right. So let's see where we are. Let's go ahead and style our how to observe because yep, everything else looks good. Okay. So let's go down to our how to observe, which we know is our H2 tag. And, okay, you tell me, what attribute are we going to give it to? We want to change the color of this one. So what attribute is it? I'm waiting on you. That's right, it is the style attribute. So we want to give it the style attribute equal, quote, quote, right? Because that's how we write attributes. And we're going to the property we want is to target is color, and R-O-O-N is the color, which is maroon. And then we need to end it with our semicolon. So anytime if any of your styles aren't working right, make sure the middle, after that property, you gave it that colon, and make sure at the end you gave it the semicolon. Also make sure you have the color correctly, that you have your attribute written correctly, because the syntax matters. And sometimes, I kid you not, sometimes people have a semicolon here or a colon here, or vice versa at the end. So all of that matters, and that's going to make a big difference. So if we preview, we should see that the how to observe has changed colors to that brown like we wanted it to. Okay, so far so good. There is a spacing difference, so we may have missed a break somewhere in there. Let me see. Pre-H2. For H2 was I see. There was a paragraph tag, so there was an additional paragraph tag in the final. So don't worry about this spacing. This is what I'm talking about. When we go over here, I had an extra paragraph tag when I did the other one. But this is right, so we're good. All right, so we styled our H2 tag, and that's really all we had to do for the styling of the H2. So the next thing that we want to style is our, let me see. Let me go back and forth. Actually, the next thing that we want to style are our links. Now, the way we're going to do our links is we're going to do our embedded style. So up to this point, we've been doing our inline styles. And again, inline styles mean that they're in line with the tag or the information that we're putting it in. See how it's the H2, we put the colors maroon, and how we set up the style for the font family, for the pre-tags, and stuff like that. So with our embedded style, this is where we're gonna make use of the styles that we had up top. Remember, we had those style tags. Now we're getting into our embedded styles. And with embedded styles, we're gonna tab in so that we know that, hey, we're starting our tiles. And what we're going to target is our link tags. So that means, remember, our links are the A, right? Remember, they had the A in front of them. So we're going to target that. So we're going to target our A because we're targeting the link. So make sure we're inside all the way up at the top, where right before the head area where we have those style tags. We tabbed inside and then we typed A. That's all we typed so far. A just means, hey, browser, I'm targeting my links. Then we're going to give it a colon, and we're going to type the word link because that's what we're targeting, the A link. Now here's the syntax for CSS, a little bit different. So with CSS, we have our selector, and this is our selector, okay? Make sure you have no space. I know it looks like there's a space, but there isn't. It's just the letter A, the colon, the word link, all together. No spaces at all are allowed. See, if I hit backspace, see how I'm getting rid of the colon? Because there's no spaces. It's just A link. So we have the selector. Selector just means what we're targeting. We're targeting the links, right, in HTML. So the A link is what we're targeting. Then you hit the space bar. Now you're going to hit that curly brace, which is, if you hold shift, and it's the one next to the P on your keyboard, while holding shift, that key next to the P on the keyboard that has the brackets, but you have to have the shift to get to curly braces. Now we're going to hit return twice, and then we're going to hit the other curly brace, which is the one next to the P, and we get, so those are the left, right, and right curly braces, okay? So when you have this, right now you just have A link, which is the selector name. Then we have the curly brace saying, hey, I'm about to put a rule in here. And we have the other curly brace that says, hey, this rule is ending. Okay, you got that so far? All right, let's put our cursor right in between where we made that space and tab in again. So with this one, now you'll see stuff that's familiar because it's going to look like the inline styles. So with our A link, we want to target the color. And then, of course, that's our property. We're going to hit our semicolon to end the property. Hit the space bar. The color that we're going for this time is gold. And then we have to have the semicolon and say, okay, I'm finished with this rule. All right. So this whole thing is called a declaration. A declaration is, a CSS declaration. So we have the whole property that we're targeting. The selector that we're targeting. Then we have our braces, which start the rule and end the rule. Then we have, because that's all CSS is a bunch of rules. It's a bunch of rules. Property values are rules for the CSS. So the rule in this one is the color, which is the property, and the value is gold. And so we have to tell the browser, hey, the property is ending with these colons, and we have to tell it, the value has ended, and that's when we do the semicolon. So we're going to hit return because we have a few properties to put in here. First one is we want the link itself to be gold. We don't want there to be a background color. Now, you do not have to put this in here. This is just something to, just additional information. The reason I have you guys put that in here. And a lot of people do, because what happens is they say that if you go to certain websites and certain browsers and they're reading different code, you wanted to tell them that the background color for this is transparent because certain things try to put their own background behind things. So that's the only reason you were using this. So background color, transparent. Text decoration. Notice how we have underlines under our links now. So text decoration is what's putting those underlines in there. And by default, the browsers put the underline on there. But you can tell it you don't want any decoration. And that's what text decoration is. So we're going to text decoration. And we're going to say none. Because we don't want any. We don't want it. Save that. Now go to preview. And you should see that all of the underlines under your text has disappeared. Do you see it? All right. Now, the one thing it's not following is it's not following gold. So this means I must have done something wrong. So I'm like, a link, it's gold. Let's see. Background dash color is transparent. And text decoration is none. However, it's not following gold. So we'll see. We'll see if it fixes itself down the line. If it does not, we'll figure out what the problem is and we'll fix it. Okay, let's make sure I spelled transparent right. Background color, text decoration, none. Color gold. Looks good to me. All right, so let's highlight this. And let's highlight all of the inside information. The only reason I have us highlighting it is so that we don't have to retype everything. So Control C to copy. All right, so this rule is done. And hit return. And now we're going to say, hey, when we visit a link, which is probably why mine hasn't changed because I visited them. When we visit a link, what we want to happen now is for the link that we visit, we want it to be, that's why. Okay, I see what's happening. Mine isn't turning gold because I've visited these links before. So they're following the visit. So it should change when we put the visited text in here. So what we're saying is when we visit a link that it's going to have certain properties. And what we're going to say is when we visit the links, we want it to be gold. So what happens is when you click on a link, it considers you to have visited that link because you went to another link from that link. So when you, by default, the browser makes visited links either red or purple. Okay, and that's the color that this one is. So since we visited it, let's go ahead and paste. Before we paste, let's go ahead and tell it, hey, A, visited. Okay, so we're giving it that selector just for links that we visited. So this just means that we've gone there before. Let's go ahead and paste what we have in there. So we're just pasting, remember, the information from up here at the A link. And now we're just going to make one change, and that's to the color. So we want the links that we visit to turn orange. Okay, so we want all visited links to be orange. And when we refresh it, Now it should be following the rules that we put in there. So now, because we visited these links before, now they're turning orange. So they are following our rules that we give them. All right, so we want something else to happen when we hover over the link. So we're going to say A for link, and then, oops, I almost put a space in there. And then we wanted something to happen on the hover state. So again, remember, it's that curly brace. Hit return, and then put in the closing curly brace. And here I'm going to paste that information, and we're just going to change the color of this one to maroon. So now, oops, all lowercase. O-O-N. So now when we visit the link, we want it to be maroon. And for our text decoration on this one, when we hover over the link, we want there to be an underline. Because if we look at our final, when we hover over it, notice it changes color. It changes to that maroon color, and there's an underline under it. So we want our hover state. When we hover over it, we want there to be that underline. So let's go ahead and make that underline there. Save that out. Preview. And now, notice when we hover over it, and the same should be happening with yours. When you hover over it, there's an underline. So we have one more state, and this is the active state. And what the active state is, when your mouse presses down on it, what it does. So when the mouse presses down on it, see how it changes to blue? And the underline is still there. This is on our final. That's what we want to happen, because now when we press down on ours, nothing happens. See how it just stays that maroon color if we make it active. So let's go ahead and add our active state. So we can go to A, active, our open curly brace, return twice, close curly brace, up arrow, tab. We're going to paste that in. And now we're going to say the active state we want to be the color of navy. And we still want the text decoration to be underlined. Save this out. Preview this. And now when we go to active state, which means we're just holding down the mouse, that's all. And so that I don't click on it, I hold down the mouse and I just move my cursor away and then and click somewhere else. And we can do the same thing. Hold the cursor, move it away, and click somewhere else. And now, guess what? We have, if we compare both websites, we have our final website complete with our CSS. Now, next class, we will go in depth of CSS. So right now, if all you're doing is copying what I've done, that's absolutely fine, but we will go in depth with CSS in details, and we'll be using CSS from now on. Next class, we'll be doing the external style sheet CSS, so you'll definitely get more play and more understanding. So if you're going through and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't understand it, just make sure you come to class with everything that we've done, a copy of this, and then your homework for this week is to continue on your homework from last week, but you're adding some CSS to it. So you're going to add the styles, like the background. You may change it to a color that's going to work for you. The font size, the links and stuff like that. Change it to something that works for you. Okay, and if you have any issues at all, please do not hesitate to email me. You all have my email, or even Blackboard. I set up a discussion board for videos. Please use that discussion board to communicate back and forth with each other, also to communicate with me, so that that we can get as much two-way communication as possible. That is my goal, for you guys to have fun, have a good time, and really enjoy this class. Okay, real quick. I just realized the last thing we need to do is this HR tag. Remember, we want it to be not all the way to the edge of our page. So we want it to be centered. So what we need to do is just add a width onto the HR. So let's go ahead and navigate to where the horizontal rule is. It should be right below your nav tag. And then all we do is give it the width attribute. Width equals, quote, quote. And this is going to be 1024. Save that. preview that, and now it has a width, and now it's following the other one. Okay, so again, that's the last thing we need to do. If you guys need to, if you have any problems at all, please don't hesitate to communicate with me. If some of you have seen a problem and you're able to solve it, and you see someone else's response before I see it, go ahead and answer it. If you feel like you have the answer to it. The goal really is for us to have two-way communication. Like I said, it's a short 8 weeks, and it's a lot of information that we need to get out. So if we can help each other as much as possible, that'll be awesome. And that also will be how you learn. Helping other people will help you even gain a better understanding of it as well. All right. So that being said, that's it for this week. Again, the homework is for you guys to go ahead and continue and add CSS inline and embedded styles to your style sheet. Again, if you need assistance, you can go to the W3 school site, and it'll assist you if you're trying to do some advanced stuff. But just don't go too advanced if you're not ready for it. Don't do it, because then you'll get stuck. And it'll take a while for us to get to you to assist you with it. So hopefully this has been very useful to you guys. I will see you next Saturday. We will go more in depth with this. I miss you guys today, this Saturday. So I look forward to seeing you soon. I also look forward to seeing you guys in the videos. And please, in the discussion boards, go ahead and also do the discussion where you're introducing yourself. I had one person who filled it out. Thank you so much. You know who you are. Salt and vinegar chips are coming your way. For the rest of you guys, please go ahead and fill that stuff out. See you soon.